This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
so typically, you'll have the final meeting with the Beit Din, and they'll ask all their questions, and they'll feel satisfied, confident that you are ready for the mikvah, and then they will set the mikvah date. In this case, the Beit Din is there in Florida. Trisha's been taking all these different tests and interviews and Zooms and this and that, so they know she's there already. They will have a meeting, but then typically it's done, a week or two before, and then the mikvah date is set, and then while in the mikvah, so then and by the way, when it's family purity, so the woman is just there with not wear fully naked, and there's just a woman mikvah attendant there, right, who will turn around, and right, everything's done in a very modest way. When it's actual conversion, so then you guys are wearing like a heavy robe. Yeah, yeah. So a man is there in his birthday suit, right? But a woman is there in a heavy robe, right? And it's very modest. I mean, yeah, yeah. And she goes there, right? And the Beit Din will ask her basically, are you willing to accept upon yourself the laws of the Torah, the laws of Moshe, right? And all that. Maybe ask, and in this situation, what would you do? And in that situation, what would you do? And then they ask you your name right over there. Yeah, they ask and what name do you pick for yourself, right?
Oh, you have to pick name also?
Yeah, you do.
First name, middle name, last name, or just first name?
You'll stay Goodman.
Okay.
You're a good man, right? You'll stay Goodman, right? But
And then my dad's name also. My last. I have two last names.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's just Natalie probably be a different. You pick a Hebrew name.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then how about for Adam? Like, is Adam going to stay there with us? And then
Adam will also be doing all that. Yeah. Okay, yeah. Good.
Probably not because of his age, not at the same time, right? Like he would not mikvah with her. He would mikvah.
Right. Probably Adam will go into the mikvah by himself. We'll all be there in the room. Yeah. Adam will go in.
sorry, I'm trying.
No.
You're good.
Yeah.
Too excited. It's like I'm
Yeah.
like started having goosebumps. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna have mine.
Yeah. So that's how it goes. Good. And just very quickly, I just had one Sunday night, right? So what is a Jewish wedding? What's that comprised of? So how does that work? We have the chuppah. What's the chuppah? The wedding canopy, which traditionally is open on all four sides. What does that represent? The tent of Abraham and Sarah, right? And that it was open on all sides for everyone to come in and join and become part of that beautiful home, right? So what happens at a Jewish wedding ceremony is a symbolic going through of the obligations of a husband to a wife. I always say Judaism is very misogynistic. We only care about the woman. We don't give a hoot about the man. Okay? So it's all about the man's obligations to the wife. What are those obligations? So there is the obligation to house, right? And that is the chuppah. That's why the groom goes down first, and it becomes his house, so to speak. And then the bride enters the chuppah, enters that house, and the bride walks down and then circles him 7 times. Why 7? Why circling and why 7 times? No, there are Sheva brachot, there are 7 blessings. The 7 times represents creation and the idea that this union was already set from the time of creation. It was that, Paz, you're going to make your way from Israel here, and Trishy's going to make her journey, right? And the two of you are going to end up under the chuppah together at exactly that time. That's why it was set for Tuesday night, by the way.
What did you say?
That's why it was set for Tuesday night.
Is it really?
Because that was the time from time of creation that was set that two of you would get married. We just didn't know it until about half a week ago.
Yeah.
Right? But
So 4 days.
4 days ago. That's it. Pamayim Kitov. Yes. right? So that you walk around 7 times. That's the idea, and a circle, lots of circles at a wedding, right? That is the idea of this endless, this eternal. It shouldn't feel endless. It should feel eternal. This eternal connection, right? And then there are 2 brachot that are said by Rabbi Lasri. Will make these 2 brachot, the 2 blessings. They're the blessings of the wedding, of the marriage, and then you will say what? V'taba'at zu kedat Moshe v'Yisrael, which means, behold, you are sanctified to me, betrothed to me with this ring according to the laws of Moshe and Israel. You'll place the ring on her finger. The witnesses will see that. You'll go like onto your right index finger, even though you're probably wearing it on a different hand, on a ring finger. It goes onto your right index finger. You go like this. That way you get it. It's yours, right? And that way you are Mekudeshet, you are married. That's the first stage of the marriage. In the times of the Talmud, they would wait 12 months. They would each go back home to their respective parents' homes, right? And then 12 months later, they would again reunite for the Nesuin, and that's when the Sheva Bracha would take place. We do it all one after the other. So typically the Ketuvah will be read in between the Kedushin and the Nesuin. And then we have the Sheva Brachot, the 7 blessings of marriage, of life, of happiness, of creation, of Jerusalem. And then you'll sip from the cups of wine twice. First after the blessings, before the Kedushin, before they make the blessings, take a sip. Harem Kadeshali, the ring goes on. Then we have the Sheva Brachot, the last Sheva Brachot. The first one is Bar Priya Gefen. But then at the end of that, again, you take sips. Typically, Imeshkachechi Yerushalayim, if I'll forget you, Jerusalem, Tishkach Yumini, my right hand should be forgotten. The glass is broken, and you're married. And then you go off to the restaurant. Is that the plan? Off to the restaurant. Okay. So that is a brief synopsis. Yes.
Do they get married legally first, or that doesn't really?
So you guys are legally married? Not legally married.
Like,
Yeah. 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 So yeah, but you'll have to call. You're doing it in LA, doing an OC. Yeah. So I think you might have to make an appointment and go there.
we had one.
You had one. Okay.
It's okay.
I saw people getting married and the guy was wearing like a white coat.
Oh yeah. So some have the custom for the groom to be wearing a kittel, right? The kittel is like the long white garment that men wear. That married men wear that on Yom Kippur, and some wear it at the Pesach Seder, right? And there are different customs. Are you gonna kittel up?
I don't know. Is it like a Sparta thing? I don't remember.
I don't think it is.
I don't think I've ever seen it in our wedding.
Yeah, I don't think it is. Ashkenazim are a little more heavy, a little more somber, and Sephardim are a little more light and joyous in many ways. Like we say, our slichos is ay 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 ay, and the Sephardim is ay ay. It has a different. It has a different. It has a different cadence to it, right? Yeah. I have to call it like it is. What can I say? One of the Shabbos Zemirot that we sing, there's a slightly different wording, right? By us we say Hamit Ablimbo Achor Nisogim. If you're going to mourn on Shabbos, then you're moving backwards, right? And they say Hasamechimbo, those who rejoice in it, right? Have great happiness. And we're a little, a little too somber at times. What can I say, right? Yeah. So the Ashkenazi custom is to wear the kittel, right? In a way, it's very nice. Also, the white, the bride is in white and the groom is in white, right? But in answer to your question, so one is not dependent on the other, right? Sometimes a couple will get legally married much in advance. My brother Shalom was moving to Baltimore, so he and his wife got married like 6 months before their actual wedding was scheduled for the real Jewish wedding, because they need to establish residency in Maryland. So the judge says to him, "You may now kiss the bride." I will not. And just think, oh gosh, I know where this wedding is where this marriage is gonna head, without understanding the intricacies of Jewish law and tradition, and being shomer negia, and not physically touching one another until the marriage. And after that, oh yeah, so first of all, there'll probably be a bedecking. The bedecking is beforehand, when he'll put the veil down on you, and that's symbolically the husband's obligation to clothe the wife. Okay? No, that'll probably be beforehand. Okay? I don't know if Sfardim do bedecking.
I know,
Yeah.
usually you walk to the middle of the aisle, and
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
know, I asked them today, I'm like, are we gonna do like a little walkthrough situation, or are we just gonna go for it?
We'll be there. We'll guide you through. Okay. So again, some have the custom. I don't know if Sfardim do bedecking, but Ashkenaz, we do the bedecking, the veiling of the bride, and that's symbolically the dressing of the bride. Then there is of the wife. Then there is the chuppah. That is a symbolic housing, right? The custom is, unless you're going to get sick, the custom is to fast on that day. If you're going to get weak, there are two reasons why the groom and bride fast on their wedding day. One is it's like their Yom Kippur, in that they become completely purified. So it's like a Yom Kippur, fresh slate. Right? I'm not saying to get it all in before them, right? But at that point, right, everything is forgiven, and it's a rebirth. Okay. Another reason is we don't want either the groom or the bride being drunk. Right? So therefore, right, those are two reasons why we have the custom to fast on the day, right? So if you're going to feel sick, you're going to get dizzy, right? Then you should drink something. You could even eat something. If you're a good faster, is great. If not, you can and should eat or drink a little something, right? Just nothing alcoholic. Okay? Yeah.
Because that was one of the questions on my final, and that's what I wrote in the response.
The question was what?
Why do bride and groom fast on their wedding day?
Good.
And that's what I found in one of my books. But Rabbi Sayani commented on it. He was like, Spartan do not do this.
Okay.
And I was like,
okay. Yeah. Again, it fits the thing. Ashkenazim are fasting, Sfardim are getting their dance moves together. It's a different, it's a whole different approach on life. What can I say? Yeah. Okay. So after the chuppah, then you'll go into yichud room. Okay. Yichud, and that's where, if the couple was fasting, they break their fast, and that's the symbolic groom feeding, right? Feeding the bride. And also yichud is, according to some opinions, the chuppah needs to be the groom and bride being alone in a manner that would allow for intimacy. Not that intimacy takes place in the yichud room, right? But it's what now allows for intimacy, and that's a fourth obligation of a husband to wife, right? To have intimate relations with one another.
And then for the ketubah, do you sign it before or after?
So, thank you so much.
Only Paz signs
Thank
it?
you.
Or
Neither of you sign it.
the rabbi?
Two witnesses will sign it. Now, Paz is going to make a kinyan, right? He's going to accept upon himself, right, all that's written there in the ketubah. And the ketubah speaks of these obligations of the husband to the wife. And then the witnesses will sign that they saw him accept that upon himself. And then that gets, put away into a safe place.
During the ceremony?
No, just you want to hold on to that after the wedding. That should just be held on to and carefully placed somewhere.
quick question. So when you do the mikvah, the day, let's say she does the mikvah on Tuesday, and then you have to have wedding on Tuesday, same day?
We're doing it that way because we're going all the way to Florida.
Oh.
And after
also,
I'm Jewish, at hopefully about 2:30 p.m. on next Tuesday, I can't be a Jewish woman living with a Jewish man that I'm not married to.
Ah.
so that's why
Super cool.
in these situations, right, we have the mikvah, and then we have
So the people who go to RCC, you're gonna do mikvah RCC or over here?
no, the mikvah will be in Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. And
Yeah.
where am I gonna get married? In LA?
So let's
Or we
say,
drive back here and
yeah,
here?
typically that's what we've done. We've had a number of families, the Hart family, we had the Gao family, the Hernandez family. Yeah, they do the mikvah there, and then they come back here for a wedding. Yeah.
Who's gonna come to, I think, on Tuesday or Wednesday?
If you invite us, we will come.
I know, I mean, that's a weekday, and then obviously wedding's supposed to be,
Very
Sunday or something like that.
well,
Yeah, so-
yes and no. Look, very often the mikvah is on a Sunday. It depends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
But they can do it on Sunday too.
they often can. Yeah.
If it makes
Yeah.
you feel better, we found out like 4 days ago, and there's like 25, 30 people coming, including Rabbi.
Do you?
So
We don't know a
Come
lot
on
of
the last
people, but we have our community, so
Yeah.
hopefully nobody's.
and you guys are here.
You have your peeps over here.
Is anybody coming?
So
Bad lobsters. Just kidding.
All right, let us go. Where are we up to, guys?
And I think we left off on page 160.
160 what? Okay, yeah, that sounds right. Okay, yes, 160, right?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So as we mentioned, the first 11 of the 39 malachot are all sidura depat, the order of making bread, right? Which is basically the cooking, and therein is most of our practical laws of Shabbat are all included there. But there are others also, as we'll see now. Number 12, shearing any natural growth from the body of a person or an animal. Okay, so shearing over there, right, would be that, that's the classic. Now we're starting the order of making garments. Okay, and it all starts with shearing of the sheep. Okay, now that will include also, right, forbidden activities include shearing or plucking wool, right, not so much in our world. Feathers, not so much in our world. Hairs, oh, that could be something, right? Cutting fingernails, toenails, or tearing off bits of skin around the nails, right? Removing hairs or calluses from the body, cutting them off through electrical or chemical, plucking hairs off a fur coat. That's interesting.
You do not know?
I could have heard that plucking hair off of a fur coat is like plucking grapes off of the stems as it's sitting in our refrigerator. If it's sitting on the grapevine, obviously that's a problem. But if it's on the refrigerator, it's already been detached from its place of growth. Okay? I guess since that's where it was initially, right? That's what the fur coat is. It has, right? The fur coat has the hide of the animal. I'm not much of a fur coat kind of guy. I don't know. Yeah, I guess it is interesting. Okay, one may not comb one's hair on Shabbos, as this may tear out hairs. The detailed laws regarding how to brush one's hair on Shabbos will explain later on page 243. Okay, so what a person does on Shabbos, right? If one needs to brush hair, if one has hair to brush, right? So you want to use a soft, bristled brush, right? And that way one could guide one's hair without, combing it out, right? There are any knots, then it pulls out the hair, right? And that will be an issue. Right, now to go over with you preparations for the mikvah, right? Whether it's for conversion or for regular, family purity, tarat mishpacha. So there, there's a good amount of preparation the woman needs to do for each mikvah attendance, and one of them is combing the hair well to make sure that there are no knots. Right, the mikvah needs to completely envelop the body without there being any what's called chatzitza, anything that's interfering between the water and the body. And even a knot in the hair would be considered a bit of an interference. So that's why much diligence goes into the preparation for the mikvah. Okay, bleaching, number 13, right? All good? Laundering. The malacha of bleaching involves any action which cleans or improves the appearance of clothes or fabrics. Okay? Now, right, so this is a classic. Typically, a man is wearing a white shirt Friday night. Typically, a man spills some wine or grape juice on that white shirt, right? So, the inclination is, let me go to the bathroom and let me wash that out, right? So that is a Torah laundering, right? That's exactly what we are not supposed to do, right? So, yeah. Okay, forbidden activity includes soaking fabrics or clothes in water or other fluids, scrubbing clothes, shaking fluids off garments, wringing out garments. Okay, that's interesting also, right? Wringing out a garment, right, is also going to be a problem on Shabbos. That is considered to be part of like the laundering process. Okay, ironing, cleaning stains, shaking or brushing off dust from clothes or hats whose appearance one is particular about, refolding a tallis or clothes onto their original folds. That's interesting. So part of the laundry process, right, was then folding it exactly onto its folds. Okay. So if I fold my tallis on Shabbos, I have an organ, let's leave it there till after Shabbos. If I do fold it, I'll be careful to fold it not on the actual fold, but a little bit off the fold, right? Otherwise, it's like maintaining that garment, right? Hanging up wet laundry, squeezing the water from one's wet hair, right? When a woman goes to the mikvah on Friday night, so she needs to be careful to just, tap her hair, not to wring out, really dry her hair. Okay, combing raw material, involves separating a solid or entangled material into threads, right? That is, of course, part of the process when making garments from scratch, right? Combing raw wool and beating flax, okay? That's not something that is so much in our week-to-week Shabbos world, right? Like, don't comb that raw wool and don't beat that flax, right? But again, these are all parts of those processes. Dyeing, okay, malacha of dyeing, right? That's the next thing that you do with the wool once you have combed it out. That involves changing or reinforcing the natural, artificial flavor, color of an object or fluid. Okay, forbidden activities include painting objects, dyeing cloths in a solution, dissolving colors in water, other fluids, making chemical solutions, developing film, applying makeup to the face, eyes, lips, applying nail polish, right? That's why I think you sent out over there, right? That 7-day, right? Yeah. So it's mostly just 7-day shine, and that's mostly powders that just get put on.
Yeah, it's almost all powder.
Mm-hmm.
I think the only thing they have that's not powder is a lip oil or something. But even then, they instruct you on how to apply it correctly.
Yeah. So 1 second. So dissolving colors in water. So can I add some food color, or take some water, or how about a cup of tea? 1 second. Right? We said, how do you make tea on Shabbos, guys?
3 vessels.
The kli shlishi. That's the magic formula. The kli shlishi, the third vessel. But I'm taking water and I'm putting in my tea bag on the third vessel, or I'm using tea essence. That's the classic way of doing it. and now everything is discolored. I just colored the water. Why is that allowed? Right? I understand we took care of the bishul, we took care of the cooking aspect, but why isn't it a problem of dyeing?
Are you creating something?
Well, that's more of a problem than a solution, right? The creating on Shabbos, right? There's no issue of dyeing when it comes to food. Okay, this is in the clothing producing series. Okay, when it comes to food, that's not going to be a problem. Okay, that's why lots of times food thing change. Colors change with food. Yes, Lily.
What about like hair dye, but if you go to a salon, like you walk to the salon?
Well, anyhow, you
Well,
wouldn't.
actually, no, because then you have to pay for any.
Yeah, you wouldn't be doing that on Shabbos. Yeah, right. So
Let's try, buddy.
whether you're doing it or someone's doing it to you, that would equally be a problem. But anyhow, the salon would not be the Shabbos afternoon activity. Yeah. Okay, spinning. The malach of spinning involves making threads from raw materials by pulling, stretching, twisting, or rolling. Forbidden activities include making threads or ropes, twisting new threads, or threads which become loose. Okay? So I guess if you have, so you actually have a picture here, twisting unraveled tzitzis strings. Okay? So that would be a problem on Shabbos. Making rope, right? Less practical for us. The tzitzis strings could be somewhat of could be somewhat practical. Interesting. There are those that say, the twisties, right? Yeah. So the twisty, you put it on, and then you twist. Right. Right. So those that say instead of doing that, you should just kind of wrap it around. Take that twisting and wrap it around and around and around, as opposed to coming here and twisting. Right. That'll be an idea of maybe getting into this realm of spinning. So instead of taking the twisty like this around and you go like this, right? That's what you normally do. So you just let's say you take this and go round and round and round and round.
Question is then, because this has been a debate.
On your yes.
I won't say on which team.
Okay.
I'm double teaming right now. But no, like if there is like a bag of challah and it has the twist tie already on it, what's the proper way to take it off?
Yeah. So again, that's more of a borderline thing, right? But with the challah, you just tear the bag. Just tear the bag.
What about just?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So why is tearing not a problem? Okay. Yes, that's part of it. It's for a need, and it's a destructive act. Meaning tearing when it's a constructive act, like tearing off the floss, right? At the right size, that's a constructive tear, right? Tearing open your box, that tab on the top of the box of cereal, that's a constructive tear because you're creating either the right size piece of floss or creating the box in a usable way, right? That is a creative tearing, a constructive tearing. That's a problem. But tearing open something like a box, tearing open a box, or let's say a wrapper around plasticware, or around a box of chocolate or something like that, or the bag of challah, right? So that's not a constructive, that's a destructive tearing. You're now left with a useless bag. You haven't created a kli. You've made a useless bag. So if it's for a purpose for Shabbos, then when it is a derech kilkel, as it's called, it is you're not creating something with it, then it's okay. Does that jive with the Rebbetzin over here? Okay, just making sure. Yes. When you had a question before? All good? Esty? Good? Okay. Yeah, so the challah, often the best thing to do is just tear open the bag and take it from there. Okay, the next bunch is all these weaving things which don't really apply to us that much. Preparing the loom for weaving. The 17 malach is an activity which prepares a loom for weaving, setting the warp on the loom. Okay, so again, we're not doing much weaving in our world. 18, page 166, Ose Bate Nirim, right? That is arranging it that the weaving goes in, out. That's arranging this whole system. The 19th malacha is weaving, right? Weaving the woof through the warp to form material, right? Which one moves faster? Which one moves?
The wood through the rep on the loom.
I think it's the warp. I think that's why we get the warp speed. I don't know. I'm just guessing. The expression he moved at warp speed. It's just a guess. I don't know anything about these things. Okay, right? So knitting, crocheting, interweaving metal threads to form a wire fence, right? Weaving pine twigs and straw into baskets, right? All of these things would fit into that category. Again, not so much in our world, though for a while a big thing for kids were like these different weaving toys, right? And weaving sets that kids will get, right? So for kids, it's not as much of an issue, right? But that was like a way to, now it became relevant, right? Now it is now weaving all of a sudden has entered the Jewish Shabbos world again. Okay, separating into threads. Okay, separating a cloth into threads, removing a thread from a garment, cloth, or bandage, pulling out a thread from embroidery, unraveling, moving the basting thread from a garment, untwining a thick thread. Again, not so much for us. 21, tying a knot. Okay, this malacha involves tying a permanent knot. Okay, that does enter our world. Okay, shoelaces, not a problem because not a permanent. How about a double knot on my shoelaces? No, not a problem, and no, you shouldn't do it.
Not a problem.
Not allowed.
Okay, so we have a first marital dispute over here. Right? Okay, why are you saying that you shouldn't do it, Trishi?
I think it's more like permanent.
It's more of a permanent knot. Why are you saying, Paz, that you can do it?
It doesn't feel permanent.
Yeah. So certain shoelaces, the only way to keep them from untying is a double knot, right? So if it's a double knot and I'm going to be then I'll be slipping in and out of the shoe, that's a problem. But if the plan is to tie and untie, right, and take it off, to untie afterwards, right? So then it's not really, or let's say a bathrobe, right? So if you do a single knot, it doesn't stay. So you do a double knot on a bathrobe. That's not a permanent knot, right? You're not planning on wearing that bathrobe forever, right? So it's not a permanent knot, right? So there, even the double knot would not be a problem. But there's times that even a single knot, right, could be, or even a bow would be a problem. Someone pointed this out to me. Let's say the garbage bag, they're throwing it out, right? So, right, you tie a bow there, but that's not meant to be a bow that's going to get untied. That's meant to be, permanent, right? So, so on Shabbos, best to avoid doing even that. So the issue really is permanence as opposed to, what knot a person is tying. Let's say very often the tzitzit strings start to get a little bit, the knots get a little bit loose, right? So there you want, and when do you notice it on your Shabbos talis? Only on Shabbos, right? But there, that's truly a permanent knot. There, that's a double knot, right? The way those who are joining us on Sunday, September 7th, right? So the way that you tie that, right, is that you do wraps and then you do double knot, wraps, double knot, 7, 8, 11, 13. That's how many wraps, and then double knot. So that last knot is meant to be permanent and it gets loose, right? So as tempting as it is to tighten that on Shabbos, right? So one would not do that on Shabbos.
tie the challah bag instead of doing this.
I'm sorry?
You can just tie the challah
Yeah.
bag instead.
Yeah. But you wouldn't tie it, like sometimes you take it and tie a single knot, but that's on a plastic bag, that single knot is basically a permanent knot, right? So you don't want to do that on Shabbos either.
How about the clipper that clips the...
That's perfectly fine. That's a good way to deal with the issue.
Rabbi,
Yeah.
why wouldn't we be allowed to make a knot on a bag like where the challah comes in? If it's not, we're meant to open it again.
Well, it depends. If I'm tying like a little bow, right? So if I'm tying, one of these guys. So I was not a Boy Scout. If I'm tying that, that's fine, because that's a slip knot, and that's not meant to to be permanent. But if I'm tying, like this at the end, I take the bag and I'm tying one of these, right? That's permanent. Those are very hard to get out. And basically, you're not going to get that out. You're just going to tear the bag next time you want challah. So that will be the issue, right? But if you're going to do one of these little, saying you take the plastic and just put it through, and that we can just pull it right out, that's perfectly fine. Okay.
One question.
Yes.
What will, like, nobody's watching you if you do that. What do you mean? What's gonna happen?
There's a bolt of lightning that's going to come down.
According to Adam, he's like, God is watching you. Hashem is watching
That's
you.
true. Look,
You're like,
this is
oh,
all.
I made this knot. I'm like, oh, wait a second. Nobody's watching, so I'm like, let me do it again from the beginning.
So that we don't want to do, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I turn the light on. Oh, I turn it back. We all make mistakes, right? But we all at the same time do want to learn, how it's done properly. And as it says in Pirkei Avot, there is an ayin roeh. There's an eye that is seeing, an ozen shomat, an ear that hears. The chol ma'asecha, and all of our actions, the sefer nichtavim, are all inscribed in a book, right? And the Chavetz Chaim says that the technological advancements, they're there to help strengthen our amuna, our faith, and to give us a more tangible appreciation, right? Meaning, an ayin roeh, God's going to see from the sky what I'm doing down over here, right? But the spy satellites that we have now, right, could read your license plate, right? So the fact that an ayin roeh is not very foreign to us. Ozen shoma'at, there's an ear that hears. Well, I'm in a room. Who hears what I'm saying, right? Once again, the technology is that, why do all the embassies have thick curtains hanging by their windows? You know why? Because you can train something on the glass, and from the vibrations of the glass, you could decipher what conversations are taking place in those rooms. Yeah. So that's why they have thick curtains that muffles the sound that is not going off the windows, right? And, all my things are written down in a book, right? How big is that book of my whole life? Oh, less than a thumb drive at this point, right? All your words on a thumb drive. Hello, Natalie. How are you? So good to see you. You missed we sang Mazel Tov before. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's do another couple of minutes. Untying a knot, right? So that we did already. We did tying. We did tying and we did untying, right? So any permanent knot, the same way that you can't make a permanent knot, so too you can't untie a permanent knot. So now that addresses your issue. So if you accidentally tied it, you don't want to untie it. That's gonna dig the hole. That just digs the hole deeper. Right? That's not what we want to do.
Now you know my intentions. Now I
Okay.
know I'm gonna be watched twice by you and Hashem.
Okay. So let's just do it quickly. What time is it exactly?
7:07.
Okay. Okay. Sewing 23, connecting two pieces of cloth or other materials to each other. Forbidden activities include sewing, gluing together a piece of paper, cloth, leather, any other material, tightening a loose thread in a garment, stapling papers or a booklet. How about, I think you guys once asked me about this. How about pasty notes? What are they called? Post.
Tasty notes, though.
I like that.
Yeah.
I call them sticky notes.
Sticky notes, post-it notes, right? So those, if it's meant to be if you want it to if it's meant to be just there for there and off, that won't be an issue. But if I'm putting, let's say, something like as a bookmark over there, that whenever I get to this book, I want to be able to open up to there. So that's like a sewing activity, right? So that would be, I think that would be problematic, right? As long as you do it in,
Like these little guys.
yeah.
So we wouldn't be able to put these on the book if we're reading it to put like our place mark like where we left up on?
Best not to, because that's meant to be sort
What
of.
do you suggest that we do? Because on the weekends, on Shabbos I do read, and then I put a little post, like a little sticky thing.
I would just use an old-fashioned bookmark.
I thought we're not allowed to.
I just take
Color.
papers that I use something and fold it in half, and I use that, right? But the post-it, if it's going to be more of a permanent thing, so that would be problematic. We'll come back to that. Let's come back to that. Let me look up. Let me look that up better for myself. Okay. So next Tuesday, like I said, we will not be meeting. Okay, but please God, right now, and I will take the trip for any of your weddings if we can. We'd be happy to do so. Not that you guys aren't special, but because everyone is special. But everyone is special. Okay, guys, have a good night.
Thank you.